right, and welcome to this week's episode of Play by Play. I am your host, Andy Horton, alongside my co-host, Jared Bergstrom. This episode number 150. And, well, Jared, baseball and the NBA draft. We'll talk about that a little bit. And NBA...
I think the free agency is going to be the bulk of the show because a lot happened. 3 pages worth of on my notes.
Between free agency and trades, definitely a lot to talk about this week. We are going to start off, though, in the
Baseball.
MLB. Yeah. As it's been an exciting week.
Yeah, especially if you're a Pittsburgh fan. They're coming around. They've won, I think, 4 or 5 of their last 7.
They've won 5 in a row and are actually currently up 5-0 over the Cardinals.
Well, good. Keep beating the Cardinals for us. Let's see. Do we just want to start out like we normally do?
Actually, that one just went final. So
they won 6 in a row then.
Yeah, I got Keller, his 3rd win on the season. And he's been a guy that it kind of sucks for him because he's had a pretty good season so far. 3.6 ERA. But their offense just hasn't been able to produce. But that being said, over the last few games, their offense has been producing very well. They put up 30 runs, over 30 runs over the weekend. No, it was 30. My bad. Against the Nets, the Mets rather. Let's try that with a sweep of them, 9-1, 9-2, 12-1. They're last or second to last or third to last in just about every single offensive category. And now they've just swept 2 current playoff teams.
Back to back, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, as I said a minute ago, it was 5 in a row, because that game just went final. It's 6. So, Pittsburgh getting on a little bit of a roll. Not really like that's going to matter, but...
No, not, what are they?
14
games under
back.
500, 13 under 500 now.
Yeah, but, for teams like the Reds, it's nice to see them knock off a couple of teams that are ahead of them in the wild card standings right now. Gives the Reds, a little bit of a step up. As of now, the Reds are a game and a half back of the current wild card spot. It could be a half game, or they could have a wild card spot by the end of the day, maybe. San Diego, they're up right now, so that I don't think that's going to happen. And St. Louis,
They just lost.
I was going to say, I don't think it's a doubleheader either. Yeah, so I guess the Reds probably not with a chance to end up with a wild card spot, but they're getting close. And
well, if the Reds win both, they will be in a wild card spot because we get our game back from last night and then the one tonight.
There's a half game each, remember?
Then they might be tied.
They'd be a half game back if they win both. And I guess that also supposes that the Padres score holds because they are up 6-1 over the Phillies right now. But the Phillies are another one of those teams that are right there. They've actually they're not, I guess, technically in the wild card anymore because the Mets have gone on a very cold streak.
Well, when you get swept by Pittsburgh, that starts your cold streak.
Well, no, it's more than getting swept by Pittsburgh. They have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of the last 16 games. And what's the score right now? They're playing the Braves.
They're losing to the Brewers.
Brewers. Yes, I said Braves. I'm sorry. And so they're on track to lose 14 out of 17. That's rough. So they gotta figure out what's going on, and they gotta do it quickly because they have been spiraling for 2.5 weeks now.
They've lost their last 5 series. Got swept by Tampa Bay, got swept by Atlanta, lost the series to Philadelphia. Okay, they split a 4-game with Atlanta. But with how bad Atlanta had been, I'd say that's losing the series, and then just getting swept by Pittsburgh is unreal.
Definitely kind of shocking. just kind of some scores from today so far. Tigers just continue to do Tigers things, up 10-1 over the Nationals. Just 14 hits. They just keep
11-1 now.
Yeah, they just added another one. And you know, I've kind of tried to be tuned in to what's going on in Tigers country a little bit.
Torkelson with a homer to center.
There you go. I've been trying to be kind of tuned into Tigers country because they've been so good this year. And every time they lose a game, I'd like to go into their Bleacher Report and just kind of see what their fans are saying and whatever. And Bleacher Report is not nearly as good as what it used to be, but still. Every time they lose a game, you'd think the sky is falling, and they're 21 games over 500. They got the best pitcher in the league. He's going to repeat.
But yeah, you were talking about how you said the fans are acting like the sky's falling when they're, but I mean, they're just hot all around with starting pitching. Let me just pull up the pitching stats. I mean, you've got, like you said, the best pitcher in the leagues, conference, whatever. I think Scooble will probably win the AL Cy Young again. Then you got Flaherty right behind him.
What's a fight between Scooble and Crochet? How do you say his name? I think
Boston. I always thought it was Crotchet.
Okay.
But for those people who want to correct us in the comments, go ahead. But yeah, it's probably just a two-horse race between those two because I don't. Let me see if I can pull up stats for.
I know that Hunter Brown has been really good for Houston.
American League pitching. Let's see. You've got Freed and Scooble are tied with wins at 10 apiece. ERA Brown has 1.74. Freed 2.1. Scooble down to 2.15. So it's close there between those two. Don't care about saves. Although Josh Hader is 24 for them, for Houston. And yeah, Crotchet and Scooble are 1-2, 144, 138 in strikeouts. Surprising. Scooble's not in the top for quality starts. He is tied for 8th with 10 out of 17. I'd still say that's pretty good. Freed leads with 13 out of 18. So, yeah, it's probably between those two for the American League Cy Young. You want to look at the National League side. I think Logan Webb's giving a nice performance. Paul Skeens, I mean, even though he's not getting run support and he's 4-7 on the year, he's still always a favorite to win. Schwellenbach has had a nice season for the Braves. Another one that's not got a lot of runs. Well, he's 7-4, so, and his ERA is 3.09. But yeah, probably between those three, I'd say for the National League, at least going into the All-Star break in a couple weeks. Let's go back to the standings.
So I was talking about the Tigers, and I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to see if Will Vest is healthy. Yeah. Okay, so because he played a couple of days ago, so that's a good thing for them. Because he kind of got banged up a little bit in the series against the Reds. That was something that was a little concerning to me, but yeah, he's been pitching and he's been pitching well. But just talking about the Tigers, just a little bit about what's going on today. Colt Keith, one of the top prospects in all of baseball. He is the 12th ranked prospect in the top 100. Having a good day so far. 3 for 4 with scoring a run, leading off for them, hitting 260 or 256. And then you talked about Torkelson. He hit a home run earlier. Riley Green, he's got 2 homers on the day. And man, he's having himself a season. Riley Green up to 296 19 homers, 63 RBIs, a 887 OPS. He's having himself a heck of a season. He's striking out more than he ever has, but I mean, he's also got more pop than he's ever had, and I mean, he's just connecting all the time. So definitely a big reason why this Tigers team has been so good this season. Another guy who's been awesome for them, Austin Meadows. He's a really good defensive center fielder, and he's another guy that he's actually had a really rough offensive year, but I kind of expect for that to bounce back. Or if it doesn't, I gotta think that they're gonna go and try and get a bat from somewhere.
Didn't Meadows play for the Yankees?
I do not know.
Oh, Tampa Bay. Never mind. But yeah, the Detroit, we're not even halfway through the season yet, and I'd say Detroit, last year they made it to the divisional series against the Yankees, and they didn't have quite the starting rotation to go the full five, and they kind of had to throw a bullpen game in there at the end. But I don't see any team that has the pitching and then the offense behind the pitching. You could say the Yankees they got Fried and Rendon, and I feel like they have a third pitcher. But, Judge has been cold. Goldschmidt's been cold at times. Stanton's just coming back from injury.
They're calling it the June swoon. That's what they're calling it in Yankees country.
Oh.
I started listening to a lot of Talking Yanks just because I'm a big fan of the John Boy guys. They're the same people. So.
And then you can even throw Will Warren in there as their third quality pitcher, but behind them you got Ryan Yarbrough.
And he's actually been pretty good for him this year. Isn't he on the IL right now though?
I believe so.
He was supposed to be one of the guys that played.
Okay, then that's why he's only got 50 innings pitched.
He was supposed to play versus the Reds. I think he was gonna be. I don't know. I just know he was gonna be one of the starters against the Reds, and then he didn't. He went on the IL right before that. I think it's kind of looking like right now it's going to be a two-team race between the Yankees and the Tigers. Mm-hmm. Now there's always a chance that Houston could do something crazy. I'm always going to hope, because I love Cal Raleigh so much. I'm going to hope that they decide to do something, get really active at the deadline, and go and get something, try and help him out.
Well, they've fallen. They were, I think, a game and a half back last week when we were talking about it, and now they're back. They're 7 games back from Houston for the division lead. The Mariners are.
I don't know, because they're 6-4 in their last 10, so they might have lost a couple, but hasn't been that bad of a week. Not a good week. Going 3-4, but yeah, not quite as terrible as what it was. Ooh, looks like the Red Sox just scored it, or just tied it up. Yes. So 3-3 in Boston now.
But let's see, looking around the rest of the league, with kind of the Yankees stumbles, that's brought everybody back within the division. Toronto and Tampa are both a game back. Boston's sitting there 6.5 back, and Baltimore's just, they went on, did they end up sweeping the Rays? No, they took 2 out of 3 though, but that first game on Friday beating Tampa 22-8. Oh, then they lost 11-3 and won 5-1. Yeah, Baltimore, they've been putting up some runs the last handful of games, and I know it's probably too little too late, but I mean, 11 back, wild card, they are
I mean, they'd have to
7 back, so
they'd have to get ridiculously hot to make any kind of move. And I really doubt it, especially because I think they're going to be sellers at the deadline. There's been a lot of talk about guys like Jordan Westberg maybe being on the move because he's a bat that can be for hire, and I'm pretty sure he's on an expiring contract. So, might be able to go and be a mercenary for somebody out there. Everyone talked all year about how bad the I say all year, the first couple months of the season and in the preseason, how bad in spring training, how bad the NL Central was going to be. There's a lot of young pitching talent in the...
Let's see who they think is going to be some players that could be on the move across Major League Baseball. Kind of like what we said from the beginning, Sandy Alcantara will probably be out of Miami. That's why his start, I don't think he has went more than 6 or... I don't even know if he's went over 6 innings yet this year, just because they're trying to hold him because he's coming back. Was it last? I think last year was his first year back from that Tommy John surgery. The White Sox, they could move from Robert out of center field, or sticking with Chicago, getting rid of Eric Fetty, their starting pitcher. He could get them at least back some picks. I was actually reading an article somewhere that the Reds might be interested in Jarren Duran from Boston.
Yeah, my only problem with that is I feel like the Reds had to give up. I feel like you're giving up a fair amount to go and get Jarren Duran. I don't know if I want to give up that much.
Ooh, let's see who else. The Diamondbacks. Let's see where are they standing at wise. They're 10.5 game backs, 1 game over 500. So they could be potential movers at the deadline. With between Suarez and Naylor are talking about that they could be moved.
Well, and then also they got some pitchers that their bullpen has been awful, but they do have some pitchers that people would be interested in. I mean, Zach Gallen is someone that a lot of guys are talking about maybe being a rental. He's pitched 104 innings, 5.5 ERA, so it hasn't been good this year, but Zach Gallen is a very good pitcher.
Merrill Kelly, another pitcher that they could look to get rid of. That could get them a decent return. I don't have his stats in front of me, so let me pull them up.
And then, Shelby Miller, pitched 34 innings for him so far this year as a 2.10 ERA. That's a guy that could draw interest.
Merrill has went 98 innings. He's 7-4 on the year with an ERA of 3.4. So he could definitely get back some either players or picks later on, or to build their farms, build them back up. Nolan Arenado, he's kind of been on the Cardinals, they'll listen to offers, but the last couple of years, but they haven't really done anything with him or entertained a lot of options on him.
Well, and I kind of think that I kind of don't think that they can trade him at this point. I mean, maybe if they fall off the cliff over the next 2 weeks, then they do. But if the Cardinals are in a playoff spot, I think it would rip that city apart. They would start rioting
burn down St. Louis.
if they traded him when they're 6 games above 500, and like I said, currently in a playoff spot. I think they'd lose their mind.
Let's see, he's batting.
He's had a pretty good year. Not great, but
247, on base 306, 75 hits.
And he's still a great defender.
10 home runs, 41 ribbies. Ryan O'Hearn, that's another one I saw in an article that the Reds could look to go after, a first baseman / outfielder for the Orioles, I think that could be a cheaper return or cheaper giveaway than what would have been for Duran.
But at least you get Duran for multiple years.
Oh, is O'Hearn just...
Yeah.
Okay.
It would be a 1-year rental. Spencer Steer just got hit in the hand.
Ouch.
His first base. No outs, top of the 7th. And I've heard a lot of people talk about, the wild card has been a bad thing for baseball. The fact that there's 3 of them now, and it means that every team, the Diamondbacks and closer, are competing, are still alive as of right now in the National League. And then you can say the same thing about Kansas City and up, even though I don't think Kansas City is, personally. But you can at least say, the Twins are only 4 games back of the wild card. Mm-hmm. In times past, there's a lot of these teams would be, they'd be out already, and there'd be a lot more sellers and a lot more teams that you knew were sellers. The years like this year and whatnot, there's a lot of really good teams out there, and there's a handful where it's is this team going to sell because they're really close and they could be a buyer, and if they go and get 1 or 2 pieces, maybe, that makes a big difference and they get to the playoffs or whatever. So there's not as much stuff out there as what there's been in years past. If I'm the Reds, I'm wanting to go and get maybe an extra bat and some bullpen help. Yeah. just because, some people hate our bullpen. I don't.
Certain days.
But we just,
I do.
Our top guys have just had to pitch so much.
Especially early on.
Yeah. I mean, how many outings does Tony Santillan have? And I know that for some reason you hate him, but he's pitched 40 times, 37 and 2/3 innings, the ERA of 2.8. Yeah, you're going to complain about that. He's been fantastic this year in a lot of high leverage situations. But Emilio Pagan, 35 innings. Scott Barlow, 36. Brett Suter, 42. Those are top 4 relievers. Now, and the other guys, I really like guys like Lyon Richardson and Luis May. And I think Lyon Richardson actually might be ready. It just kind of depends on what situation you put him in. But Luis May, he's not there quite yet. He needs a little bit more seasoning. Taylor Rogers has been awful for large stretches of the year, even though his ERA is still under 3.
I want to look.
Right?
You said Suter, but didn't he have a couple spot starts?
No.
So that might be...
Or I guess he did. I think he's been an opener. I think that's what it was. I don't think he's supposed to have been a legit starter at all. I think he's opened a couple of times.
Let's see, going through the rest.
I had an opener against Cleveland. An opener against... an opener in the 24-2 game, I'm pretty sure, against Baltimore. And then it might have been an opener against St. Louis, maybe, back in May. And this is the other time he pitched 3 innings.
Let's see. I'm scrolling through here, and I see a lot of, Baltimore, CBS Sports is predicting Baltimore to be huge sellers at the deadline. I mean, they're getting Zach Eflin. I've seen Cedric Mullins, Ryan O'Hearn we talked about. Where did we go? Another pitcher, and Tomayuki Sagano. I hope I said that right. I see Martinez on here that could be gone for the Reds. Who knows? Maybe him throwing that almost no-hitter could drive up the price a little bit.
I certainly hope the Reds do not get rid of him.
Right, but if somebody wants to pay for him. Let's see. That looks like it might be about it. That I see big names on what they're predicting to be on the move. Let's see. Anything else you want to talk about in Major League Baseball? I know we kind of didn't really. We don't have to jump around because we kind of talked about season or divisional standings in the mix of everything.
Well, I mean, we really haven't talked that much about the Reds yet. So let's start off by saying Spencer Steer has been amazing over the last week and a half or so.
Yep.
He's been an absolute menace. I mean, we're talking the last 11, 12 games. He's hitting over 400, maybe over 500. Had a 2-run bomb earlier in today's game. And he had a really bad start to the season, and it's really nice to see him heat up. And, you know, I think for a long time, a lot of Reds fans are starting to question, or maybe had just straight out decided that the Spencer Steer of 2023 was gone. But the last month-ish of play, I think, has some people thinking, like, maybe Spencer Steer of 2023 isn't gone, and that he is back. I mean, he's been so hot. He was hitting either below or right around 200, 210 for most of the season, and he's up to 250. Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Let's see. The last 7 games, Steer's batting .444 with 12 hits, 3 home runs, 8 ribbies, and 5 runs scored.
Yeah, he's been a huge driver of the Reds' offense. Trying to go to Baseball Reference because then you can pull up longer stretches.
Let's just see if we want to back it out. Steer to the last 10 because ESPN keeps track of the last 10. He's batting .385, 15 hits, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs. I can keep expanding. I don't want the Reds' all-time hit leader. What the heck? In the last 2 weeks, Spencer Steer has been batting .351, 20 hits, 5 home runs, 12 RBIs, and 10 runs scored.
And on the season, he's got 72 hits. He's got 20 of them in the last 2 weeks. I guess it's probably 73 because I doubt it counted the home run from today. So, yeah, because it says he's got 9 home runs. So, yeah, he's been absolutely phenomenal. Like, Ellie, it's hard to say quietly, but he's been fantastic over the last couple weeks. He's also been batting really well. And then
last week, .429, 12 hits and a home run, 5 ribbies for Ellie.
And it was against the Yankees, right? Where he had the 10 pitch at bat. Or was it? No. That was the Padres. That was the Padres. The 10 pitch at bat in the 9th inning, and you're able to make the comeback. The big hit there by Will Benson, who also, by the way, has been heating up. His batting average had dropped all the way down to like, I think 210-ish, and now he's got it back up to 240 after a hot week. Because he had at least a couple of multiple hit games in the last week. Yeah, I think he played 3 games, and two of them were multiple hit games. In the last 7 days, he's got 12 at bats and 5 hits.
Let's see. He was 3 for 4 against San Diego in the comeback win. 1 for 4 and 1 for 4 again in the San Diego series. So all hits came in the San Diego series. But yeah, he came back. Yeah, in his last 7 games, batting .278. You said 5 hits and 2 runs. scored and the game-winning hit in the last one against the Padres.
Yeah, it's really nice to see him kind of get off the schneid because he had been hitless since the Minnesota series.
Oh, God.
And he hadn't, I mean, he only played one of the Yankees games, and so, he'd gone quiet for a little bit, and I was kind of afraid that, we were on the verge of maybe sending him down. We've done that with him a couple times, and it has yielded results so far, so.
Let's see, Friedel over the last 7 games, he's batting 224, 6 hits, an RBI, and a run scored. Trying to think anybody else on the Reds roster to look up the last.
Gavin Lux has been cold as of late, but he did have the big walk-off hit. I don't understand this.
248, 5 hits, and a home run.
I don't understand. What were the Yankees doing the 5-man infield? That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it didn't. I don't know.
Anything in the outfield scores. Anything at all ends a game. And I guess, bases loaded with 1 out, or was it no outs? You're probably losing anyways.
I think it was 1 out. So they were probably doing that just so nothing gets through, and potentially a better double play setup. But yeah, you just gotta knock it right over the outfielders or the infielders.
Yeah, I don't know. I was a little. It didn't exactly make sense to me. I've been really frustrated with Tyler Stevenson over the last couple weeks. Guy's not been able to hit a darn thing. He's been getting walked, but that's all he's been doing. After he came up, he got his batting average in the 260s-ish range, and now he's down to 226. Not connecting at all, looking at a lot of strikes. It's been frustrating to watch him. I'm almost to a point where I'm like, hey, until he gets it back together, Jose Trevino can be the everyday guy. Because, frankly, as of late, as of all season, he's been giving us more offensively. And Austin Hayes, he just got to stay healthy, man. He's just got to stay healthy. And, yeah, Matt McClain is looking more like the old Matt McClain. Like the Matt McClain we've gotten used to watching, or that we got used to watching that first year. So, hopefully he continues to heat up and he didn't have like the crazy rise like Spencer Steer did in the batting average, but it has gone from like $170 to 210-ish, I think it is right now. So he's working his way up. I think it's 213 actually.
Yep, 213, 57 hits, 9 homers.
And has to do with the Reds, but not necessarily like about the Reds. But Noelvi Marte, I think he's getting real close to coming back. Hit a grand slam last night for Louisville. And I think it's really smart for the Reds to kind of let him sit down in AAA for a little bit, because we've seen when he comes up and he's confident, the guy's just a baller. And so, and I think last year after he got done with his suspension, I think the Reds brought him up when he wasn't ready, and he had a terrible second half of the season. So I like what they've done so far with, kind of taking their time and letting him get his confidence down there before you just bring him up and put him in a tough situation.
So Stevenson has played in 45 games, 164 at-bats, struck out 67 times.
What? That's wild.
Trevino, let me find him. Trevino has appeared in 52 games, 155 at-bats, has struck out 19 times.
That means that Stevenson's strikeout rate's like 35% this season.
Oh, crap, ESPN doesn't have that over there.
167. Yeah. Divided by 164. That's 40%. That's what Will Benson was doing last year. Ugh. Gotta be better than that, man. Like I said, he got off to a fairly good start. He was hitting 260 at first, but he has been bad so far this year, and he's not really bringing the pop. He's got...
I think he's got 1 home run.
He's got 6.
6? Okay. Ooh. Guess I really haven't been paying attention.
That's not good enough, you know?
Yeah, there's nobody else on the roster with not quality starts, but a lot of starts and at bats that is anywhere near Tyler Stevenson.
Yeah,
Will Benson.
Ellie has twice as many at bats and has 25 more strikeouts.
I think it was like 21% strikeout. Benson was 32. McLean, I think, was 29. So Benson, and I mean he's only got. Or no, he has less at bats than what Stevenson has. He's got 24 less at bats, but has what is that? About 22 less strikeouts too.
Yeah, Ellie has twice as many at bats and has 25 more strikeouts. And that was the biggest problem, for Ellie last year. Oh, he strikes out too much. Oh, he strikes out too much. Yeah, he probably still strikes out a little bit too much, but he's hitting 280 and is only striking out 28% is too high of a number. It's so much better than what it's been in years past. I mean, last year he struck out 219 times. This year he's projected to, last year he struck out. 218 times. This year he's projected to strike out 180, 170.
Yeah, let's hope.
That's a huge, drop off. But Tyler Stevenson is picking them all up.
All right, now we're gonna forecast the rest of the week. Or can't really say the rest of the week. So let's not count the Boston stuff today and tomorrow, or today and today. And we'll just start with Friday, going on the road to, Philly, and then we're coming back home to hopefully some season padding wins and get us into a playoff position before the All-Star break.
You got to give a little bit of props to the Marlins, because they're not nearly as bad as what we thought they were going to be. 7 games out of the playoffs right now. So, but the second Boston game wasn't going to happen before we did the show anyway. So let's do the second one. So that gives us 6 games. 6 games, because the one today and the first 2 of the Miami series.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going with?
I'll go 3-3, right at 500. Who do we got? Abbott, Lodolo, Burns against Luzardo, Suarez, and Wheeler. Eesh. I'll go 3-3.
I got 2-4. That's some tough pitching, man.
It is.
I mean, Luzardo, I think, is the worst.
I would say that's the worst out of the 3 we could face. So that game could be a very well.
ERA.
That game could be a 1-0 going into the 8th with both starting pitchers still in it.
Zach Wheeler 2.27, Ranger Suarez 2.0. I mean, they're a tough team. And they got Nick, they got Harper,
Schwarber,
Trey Turner, Schwarber. Oh my, sheesh.
At least we're not playing them in
I was about to say, it's not at
small
home.
park. Yeah. There's more room in the outfield for the ball to stay in the yard there in Philadelphia.
So yeah, I'll go 2-4. Let's hope my streak of good keeps happening.
All right, so that looks like it does it for baseball, and we're gonna move on over to the NBA. I don't even know, where do you want to start? Do you want to talk anything about the draft, or do you want to talk about the free agency moves and trades first, and then if we have time to come back and talk about it?
Yeah, because let's wait and we'll talk about that later, because the draft has, or maybe we kind of weave things together, because the NBA draft I feel like is so much different than, I don't know, it's kind of like baseball, how the guys aren't gonna have a huge impact early on, and it's gonna take a couple years for them to really start becoming big time difference makers. So maybe we just go straight to the big time stuff happening in free agency.
All right, moving now, let's go to the NBA free agency. Anything really come at you as a surprise? I know there's a lot of moves, and 3 pages, 2.5 front and back is a lot I got wrote down.
Okay, so the thing I think that surprised me the most is I think it was the Pelicans, right? I think it was the Pelicans that did the move. Dumars is their, what you call it? The GM now? Yeah. So they traded CJ McCollum to the Wizards. We actually talked about this, but I didn't get the full ramifications of what was going on. So they get, the Wizards get the best of either Milwaukee or New Orleans first round picks in that deal.
Okay.
And so I just think that they're going to have a very good chance between their first round pick and whichever one they get, that they get the better of those 2 picks. So, if Giannis gets hurt, that Milwaukee trade pick is going to be awesome. And if they don't,
or if they move him,
the Pelicans, they won 21 games last year and they traded their best player.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be good. So, I just think they have a very high chance, the Wizards have a very high chance of getting, a great pick at the top of next year's draft. And they did it for Jordan Poole and Sadiq Bey. I don't know. Right? Was that the one?
Yeah. McCollum, or Washington gets McCollum and Olynyk, Poole, or for Poole and Bey in 40th overall pick.
Or was that not that trade? Hang on.
And they got the 40th pick in the NBA draft this year. So let's see, who did they end up getting? They ended up getting Micah Peavy out of Georgetown, which is he's a versatile wing with solid size who defends with a high level of intensity, made notable strides in three-point shooting in his 5th-year senior eligibility. Shoots 32% from 3, 61% from free throw percentage. So we'll see. Let's see if they have a player comp for him. Player comp has him as Justin Jackson. Both similar wingspans, experienced college players who finished their respective careers with breakout campaign and a surge from the three-point line and shooting percentage uprise. Jackson similarly profiled as a rangy, potential switchy defender, though that didn't pan out as well for him in the NBA. I don't even know where he is now.
Who?
Justin Jackson?
No, that's what it was. That's what the pick was. I'm sorry, I mixed up my trades. New Orleans traded up to get the 13th pick and Derek Queen for the number 23 pick and and a 2026 first-round pick, the most favorable of New Orleans or Milwaukee. So,
Okay.
the whole thing didn't make sense to me from the Pelicans' point of view. I mean, you might love that guy, but like now, like I said, the Hawks have a great chance to get a lottery pick next year, depending on how things pan out. And, you know, like they got helped from the Celtics trade with getting Porzingis. They went and they just added Luke Kennard, Dyson Daniels. Like, you know, was one of the best defenders in the league last year. They just went and they got Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They got Jalen Johnson to play the small forward. Zachary Ricochet from, you know, he was a top projected, or he was one of the top picks last year. Akonwu. In all, it's something that kind of most of those guys have in common. Most of them are very good defenders. And that's kind of what you need for Trae Young. You know, considering he can't play a lick of defense, he's, you know, it's just, and it's not, I'm not trying to say that, you know, he doesn't try at all or anything. He's just a 6'2" guard. You know, there's only so much that you can do being that size in today's game. And so, you know, you go and you get a bunch of dudes. I mean, Luke Kennard, I think, is the only guy that's not really like a plus defender that we just talked about. So I got a lot of guys that can play defense around Trae Young. And with Halliburton and Tatum being out next year, or at least most of the year,
Right.
you know, it kind of opens the door for a lot of these younger teams in the East. Like, you know, the Pistons took a huge step forward last year. And the Magic, they've taken steps forward over the last couple of years. They're looking to take a huge step forward with them going and getting Baines from Memphis. You know, the big injuries kind of made the East wide open, and it's gonna make it so that like a couple of these young teams like speed up their timeline. And I think it could make the East really fun here in the next couple of years. Because like I said, Boston and Indy are going to be down. Mm-hmm. But, you know, assuming their stars come back and are those guys next year, then you might have like a real actual deep conference. Because you'll have...
Detroit just signed Duncan Robinson yesterday too, I see.
Yeah, on a sign and trade. That's a nice ad for them.
Oh.
Be able to stretch the floor some.
And Karis LeVert, did you say that?
No, but yeah, that just happened as well. So there's been a couple of teams that have made a lot of moves that I've liked so far. The Hawks are one of them.
Yeah.
What they've done. The Baines thing, I don't know how much he really raises their ceiling down there in Orlando, but you're adding another good player and a guy. They need guys that can shoot down in Orlando, and he can definitely do that.
Right.
Should help open up the interior of the floor for them a little bit. And then Detroit, you know, I don't know if they are speeding up their timeline, but maybe they are going to make some moves over the next couple of days. And like I said, maybe they do speed that up. And Cleveland, I think this could be a big year for Cleveland because,
yeah,
I almost think for Cleveland it's now or never. Like the two of the top players in your conference are not really going to play next year. They've been the 1 or the 2 seed over the last 2 years and have fallen to Boston or to Indy. And if it's not going to be now, when is it going to be? Like, because Boston is going to be aggressive next year, go and try and rebuild. And I think that Indy is going to, I think they're kind of probably doing a little bit of the same thing, kind of taking a half step back this year, since they're not going to have Halliburton anyways.
Yeah.
And, so they're going to be more aggressive next year too. I think there's a real, like I said, I think this is a real interesting time for a lot of these young teams in the East.
And they, like, you talk about Cavs, they traded for Ball, and then they signed Larry Nance. Thought he was already, did he come back? Okay. I was about to say, I thought he was already on there, but.
He hasn't played for the Cavs in like 4 years, dude.
I don't. So that'll give them. Let's look at their roster now.
Yeah, a lot of Cavs fans didn't like the fact that they weren't able to keep Ty Jerome.
Okay.
But also, he did get really exposed in the playoffs last year. So, you know, like, he's a great offensive player, and he's able to do a lot on that end of the floor, but going and doing things on the other end of the floor, not nearly as good. And Lonzo Ball, when he's healthy, he can guard threes. He can.
Right.
He's a really good defender. So
Just hoping that he stays healthy in Cleveland's case.
they kind of would want for them to do a little bit more, but they're kind of also up against the second apron. I really hate the second apron. I think it's so dumb. The NBA just doesn't want teams to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And to a degree, I get it. Like, to a small extent. I kind of understand what they're trying to do, because there was a stretch back in the late 2000s, or in the late teens, where it felt like every time a good player got cut, they went and they just sat on the bench for the Warriors. Or they just went and they sat on the bench for the Cavs. And it was like, you know, it kind of made it so there weren't a lot of other teams out there that could compete. But then it's like they literally don't want you to have a good team. And you get penalized for having a good team. You get penalized for trying to make your team better. I don't like it. I don't understand. But hey, the NBA, they don't want teams to win back-to-back titles or anything like that. It doesn't make sense to me, but like, whatever.
Trying to think of who was the last back-to-back title. Was it the Warriors?
Yeah, it was
okay.
Warriors.
Let's see. The Mavs signed D'Lo to a 2-year deal.
Ooh.
I don't know if that moves the needle on them that much.
No, it definitely does. But
Then Dinwiddie parted ways. He went to Charlotte this morning.
that's where he was. He was in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Pistons hanging on to Paul Reed. I like him as a card there. Yeah, I'm a little confused as to what Bobby makes you, as to what Milwaukee's doing, though, because they re-signed Bobby Portis to 3 years, $44 million. They just gave what's his name $26 million a year in Miles Turner.
Uh-huh.
I mean, am I missing something on their roster? Are there all of their best players bigs?
Yeah, I would. I didn't realize they re-signed so many people. I saw Gary Trent and I saw Bobby Portis, but I didn't see Taurean Prince re-sign. They added, like you said, they added Miles Turner. They released or waived Dame, so Dame's contract will now, or the money they saved in that will cover Miles Turner. And Brook Lopez went to the Clippers in free agency.
I really like that move for him and for them. And every time I talk about him, his career just kind of blows my mind, because he started as a back-to-the-basket center who was a double-double machine for the Nets when they were still the New York Nets.
Good God.
You've been really Nets, right? They were New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because back then. And now he's a 3-point shooting big man who doesn't even think about going inside. You got Hakuza. I don't like this team. I just don't understand what they're doing. I mean, like, the report came out from Chris Haynes that Giannis was really upset with the fact that they cut Dame. But he's not that guy anymore.
No, and especially not coming off of a ACL injury.
Yeah, so I don't
Or Achilles, sorry.
know what. I get it. The Giannis needs like the co-star. He was not the guy. I think they gave up so much. I don't even actually. Did they give up that much? I don't remember.
For Dame?
Yeah.
And
I thought it was a bad move.
and Lopez, I was looking at, he was drafted 10th pick overall in 2008. So he's been in the league. I didn't realize he'd been in the league that long.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. I was just talking to Evan about that.
Dame trade to. There we go. We'll be more specific.
Portland got Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Tumani Kamara, the 2029 unprotected first-round pick, and an unprotected Milwaukee swap in 2028 and 2030. Three first-round picks. That was a three-way trade because that's how Ayton got in there. But
yeah, so I don't. So is there any? I don't even think there's been anything about where he could go.
he gave it to who?
Dame.
Oh, no. There's a third team, and I'm not sure which the third team is, but Boston and the Lakers are links. I don't know. It's a whole weird thing to me. It doesn't make much sense. But he's probably not going to play this year. And regardless, I think he's washed.
Yeah, he tore his Achilles this series before Tatum tore his, and that could have easily just been a week before his. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna put a lot into him and not get anything. At least as an Achilles is an 7 to 8 month recovery, and that's if. So May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Middle of December, you're thinking. So you're going to have him for 4 months, and if they make a playoff run?
May?
Yeah.
Until June, I don't think.
Oh, June? That's July, August, September, October, November, December, January. That'll put him into next year.
You got to remember, the NBA playoffs is long.
It is. So, yeah. So, okay. So you put him back till after next year, the start of next year. And he's what? How old?
Oh, no. His last game was in, it was just before May.
So, and he'll be 35 in 2 weeks. So, I think there's a bigger risk than reward if you're going to go look to sign him. So, I don't know what team, but you said Lakers and Boston.
Yeah, and I guess the Lakers make sense a little bit. Boston doesn't make any sense at all to me, though, because maybe it's for next year. I didn't really look into it because the whole thing didn't make too much sense to me.
Right, because he's gonna want. I mean, Boston's trying to shed money out to get below that second apron arbiter, and he's gonna put him right back over it.
Yeah, I don't know. And like I said, no Tatum, so what's the point?
Right.
Like, just get ready and reload for next year. I don't know.
Let's see. Where do we want to go?
But, so I love what the Rockets have done with the KD trade, and then what have they done outside of that? I mean, I know they got Dorian Finney-Smith. I do really like that. Especially because they had to trade
and Clint Capella.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that was yesterday or the day before.
But they had to trade Dylan Brooks away in the KD. And I think, in my opinion, Dorian Finney-Smith is like the same guy, but he's better. He's left.
Right. He's not going to get your team a bunch of technical fouls. Was Clay Capella just a sign? Or did they trade with him? No, I think it was just a sign. So Houston looks pretty good next year. And they also brought back, or they kept Steven Adams, Jeff Green, Jabari Smith, and Van Vliet with that contract extension. So, I mean, they
just signed Jabari Smith to like 3 or 4 years. 5 years? Yeah. $5 million or something like that.
And Van Vliet was 2 years, 50 something, I think?
40.
Okay.
240, 250, something like that. Yeah, and they got other dudes too, a deep team.
And that's what the problem with Phoenix was. They didn't have a bench. And now KD's going to a team that has a bench. He's not going to have to be the star player every game in and game out. So, I mean, you're just going to have KD do KD things in the big moments. You don't have to have him. I mean, he can afford to sit out an extra game or two for rest because he's, older than...
It's like 37? That?
He will be 37 by the time the season starts, yes.
Well, and we didn't even talk about, Amon Thompson, who he's probably going to be a top 10 player.
At least, if not next year, the year after. Yeah.
Sure, Tari Eason. It's like they got depth. I like what they got going on. Reed Shepard didn't hardly play at all last year.
No, but we saw what he did for Kentucky 2 years ago.
I guess he did play. He played in 52 games, got 12 minutes a game. Just didn't.
Oh, really? I didn't realize he got in that much.
Yeah. And the thing I really love about the Clint Capella thing is Steven Adams is an old man now. And he's very important to them. He's up to 31. He'll be 32 over the summer. But he's super important for them. And going and getting Clint Capella is going to make it so Steven Adams will be fresh come playoff time. So I think that's pretty big for them.
They're the same age. I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that at all.
And Capella just turned 30. Okay, so and Steven will turn 32 over the summer. But yeah, so Houston, they could be. I mean, they were the 4th seed last year. I think they could be a top 2 seed going into next season.
I'm not gonna say that they can't be. It just feels like the top of the West is gonna be ridiculous because you gotta think the Thunder are still probably gonna be in that area.
Mm-hmm.
The Spurs are a rising tide that's on the way. Gotta wonder how good they're gonna be. Denver.
Okay, let's just go talk about Denver because we haven't even talked about them yet.
I've been ecstatic with what Denver has done so far.
Right. Adding back Bruce Brown, but trading for Cam Johnson, and then re-signing for signing Tim Hardaway, and then getting Jonas Valanciunas. Did I say that right?
Valanciunas.
Damn it. That gets Jokic a bunch of help when he doesn't have to do it all now.
Well, so I was about to say, I think a lot of people were, over the last couple of years, since they won their title, were like, hey, you let, the year that they won the title, Braun gets moved into the starting lineup. Brown, I always say that.
I do too. I always want to call him Braun.
But Brown gets moved into the starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
KCP, and I guess KCP didn't leave until last year, didn't he? I'm forgetting.
They won it 2 years ago, and then last year was their
KCP was I think he left last year, not the year before.
Yeah, he won the title and then he left that off season, didn't he?
They won 3 years ago.
Has it been that long? Oh, that's right. Boston was last year. Mm-hmm. So okay, then damn it. We've been doing the show too long.
But so Brown moves into the starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Brown goes and makes ridiculous amounts of money for his services in Indy and then gets shipped somewhere else. I forget where they sent him. Was that Toronto? And then KCP also on the move. And they didn't go and they didn't backfill the roster. They didn't go and get guys to be able to be good bench players. They went and they got guys like DeAndre Jordan, who is very old at this point. And
It was Toronto for
they drafted guys like Julian Strother, who I like, but, you know, to expect a rookie or a second-year guy to come in and be a huge impact player on a championship level team, or, you know, on a playoff team, to expect for them to have huge roles in the playoffs, I think you're asking.
That's a lot, yeah.
And then now this year they turn around. And so I think Nuggets fans and just people that like watching good basketball, I've just been screaming for the last couple of years, can you go and you get this guy some help?
Yeah.
And
They did.
yeah, I love going and getting Valanciunas. Because they just need a dude that can spell Jokic for 8 to 10 minutes in the playoffs and 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes during the regular season. And Valanciunas is a very solid big, and he's been a very solid big around this league for a long time. They go and they get Bruce Brown back, like he said. I love the trading Michael Porter Jr., who just seemed to never live up to the guy he was supposed to be. For Cam Johnson, not as good of a defender and not as big and long as Mike Porter Jr., but I think he's a little bit better offensively. Like,
Yeah.
you're kind of splitting hairs a little bit, but I think he is better offensively. Bruce Brown, get him back, going and getting Tim Hardaway.
God, he's been in the league for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah.
At least it feels like it.
They just went out and got dudes that, you know, do you feel like they can make small differences here and there?
And those are ones that can help win a closeout series game on the road, which they couldn't do against Oklahoma City this year, what they couldn't do against Dallas 2 years ago. They just didn't have the people around Jokic to help close out series and close out games.
Yeah, and, you know, when talking about different players and whatnot all the time, I talk about, you know, you're splitting hairs with this, you're splitting hairs with that. Well, when you get to a game 7, you're splitting hairs.
You're right.
It comes down to one possession here, one possession there. And if you're able to, you know, how much is it worth to be able to spell Jokic for maybe just 1 or 2 extra minutes a game? And then how much more energy does that give him in the big moments of the fourth quarter or whatever in game 7, you know? It all adds up. Like, and so I think they're in a much better position right now. I don't know why they had to fire Mike Malone to go and get him stuff, to go and get stuff for Jokic, but yeah, I'm a really big fan of what they did here in the early parts of the off season.
Are they keeping Altman as their coach? Have they come out and said that yet?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I don't know if you saw, but the Knicks are supposed to hire Mike Brown to be their coach.
Yeah.
Trying to think of the last time he was in the league.
Not long ago.
Oh, he's been in Sacramento. I didn't realize that. I did not realize that. Well, good for him. Let's see. What other teams do we want to look at? All right, so here I got one because we'll just bring it up. LeBron picked up his $52.6 million player option. And I guess, I don't know who it was that came out and said it, but I guess that doesn't mean that the Lakers won't be looking at trades for him.
So, something that I heard like yesterday or whatever was the idea that maybe he should, and this is absolutely wild, that he could go to Dallas.
To Dallas?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. That's kind of interesting. Because then you've got him and AD together. Well, I don't know what they would have to give up trade-wise, but... Okay, so this is... What am I? Bleacher Report. They have 5 landing spots. Phoenix, no, they just got rid of everything. He didn't want to go there and do everything. Dallas, here it is. Let's see, LeBron James sounded like he missed Anthony Davis after the Lakers got bounced from the playoffs by the Timberwolves. Why not join him in Dallas? Dallas's interest in reuniting may be a long shot with number 1 over Cooper Flag in the mix, with Kyrie recovering from ACL injury, but LeBron to the Mavs connection has legs. Why the hell would he go to New York? Well, I mean, he played for Mike Smith or Mike Brown forever in Cleveland. So, I mean, there he's playing with a former coach. But I don't know what they'd have to give up. So this one, granted, what website is it? Oh, this is Sports Illustrated. A 3-team trade including the Hawks, the Lakers, and Mavericks. The Hawks would receive Caleb Martin, a 2030 second-round pick from Philly, and a 2032 second-round pick from Dallas. Lakers get Klay Thompson, Daniel Gafford, and P.J. Washington. Mavericks get LeBron James, Dalton Connect, and Bronny.
So, and here's something. So, with the whole CBA second apron deal, like you can't, I think you have to max the salaries perfectly or whatever. You can't do,
you can't like combine players to match a salary, right?
No, I think you can't. I don't. The CBA is so confusing. Because I've heard that, but like you're not trading superstar for superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Like that very rarely happens. There's something I've been talking about, like, since I heard that was like, well, the combination of Daniel Gafford, Klay Thompson, and P.J. Washington gets you about $45 million. LeBron makes 52.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 7 more somewhere. And then that gets the Mavericks that gets the Lakers all sorts of role players.
Right.
Around Luka. And then that puts LeBron on what would then be considered a title contending team, and he'd get to go back with AD, he'd get to be back with Kyrie, he'd play with Cooper Flag, and then they can do that and potentially keep the kid.
Bronny?
No.
Oh, the kid.
No one cares about Bronny. Lively. Derek Lively.
Oh.
And then they also do have like other good role players that, you know, it wouldn't be, if you trade all that away, it wouldn't turn into a bad team. Najee Marshall and Caleb Martin, a couple of nice role players, Dwight Powell, nothing special, but they just added D'Lo. And the D'Lo thing a little bit kind of makes me think like, maybe they could be lining that stuff up because D'Lo's played with LeBron a lot, and, like, they liked it. Very interesting situation.
Here we go. This is by 5 potential trades that could... 5 potential LeBron James trades if he wanted to leave the Lakers. Let's see this one. Just show me the... Okay, this just says teams that could be interested in trading. That pisses me off. if you don't include what the trade would be. This one has them going back to Cleveland in a 3-team trade. Cavs get LeBron James. Lakers get Jared Allen, DeAndre Hunter, Dean Wade, 2026 first-round pick from the Nets, and the Nets get Max Strus.
Yeah, I did. After seeing him pick up I think there's no chance he goes back to Cleveland. I don't think they're going to blow up their team to...
Not to get 1, maybe 2 more years out of LeBron?
Yeah. Right. If you can get him in free agency or something, sure. I'm not giving... I mean, if I'm running a team, I'm not giving away anything huge for LeBron. Like, if I was the Mavs, I would seriously, and if you could get it for a deal kind of like what I was just talking about, I would seriously think about it. I'm not giving away any stars for a guy who's going to be in the league 2, maybe 3 more years. No. If you want, like, a load of good role players, yeah, sure. We can talk. But...
You're not giving away a bunch of picks and
any
superstars.
A star.
Yeah.
Anyone that could be considered a star. Nah. Unless they're also old. I'm not giving up a guy that I can have for a decade for a guy who's going to retire in 2 years.
Let's see. Boston's added a couple pieces since...
Nothing. It's literally...
Oh, nothing?
Filling the roster.
Oh.
Just nothing. All I really want to say about Boston is I wish that Al Horford would just retire. I don't want to see him play anywhere else. He's gonna go somewhere else because he's not ready to retire. But I don't want him to. I don't want to see him play anywhere else. I love that guy. And frankly, if Tatum didn't get hurt, he'd probably stay in Boston. I think he'd take whatever we would give him, just about, because we'd be competing for a title. But we're not going to be competing for a title this year. So really sucks because, like I said, big Al Horford guy. I just don't want to see him play anywhere else.
There's a handful of teams that have done nothing so far in the free agency too. The Bulls, I mean, they re-signed Trey Jones, but that's about it. They traded away Lonzo Ball. They haven't really done anything. Golden State has done nothing. They lost Kevon Looney to free agency to the Pelicans. That's it. Pacers lost Turner.
Yeah, and the pace of part of that is they're getting ready to butt up. They were either already butting up against second apron or you go offset. And you can't. Frankly, the way that the NBA CBA is set up, it really kind of just takes me off. It's teams that want to spend more money and want to try and stay really good. They just can't. Like you just make it impossible for yourself to do anything a couple of years down the line, and then it just makes things so difficult. And you got to pay so much extra money. Like, because I was listening to the Hoops Collective earlier before we came in here, and they were talking about like if the Cavs wanted to keep Jerome, Ty Jerome, they were looking at giving him like a 3 or 4 year, $20-30 million, somewhere between like $25 and $40 million contract. Damn, it would have cost them $100 million because the tax is so high. Like it's just dumb. It really takes me off. So,
let's see.
There's been a couple teams that have had, like I said, the Hawks specifically, the Nuggets have had really, really good free agency so far.
Detroit
has had a good one. Yep. But things could be so much more fun if the NBA just wanted for we're okay with teams staying good for a long time, but they just don't want that anymore. So is a good offseason for the Mavs, too. Because everyone thought that was just going to be a massive dumpster fire and nothing good was going to come of that. But they got Cooper Flag, and they turned that thing around quick.
Let me look up. Just see how many teams are going up against the second apron. Currently, the Cavs and Suns are projected to be the only two teams over the second apron threshold. Rockets, Knicks, and Nuggets are approaching. Oh, here we go. So it looks like Boston is just under it. They look like they're 4 million to the good, but that's kind of still close. I don't know. It's a weird thing to, and I don't know that much about it.
Yeah, I can't talk enough about how I hate it. Because the Warriors, I was talking to Evan about this before we got on the show, but the Warriors, every good player, like when they went on their run with KD, every good player that got cut ended up just going and sitting on the Warriors bench and waiting for someone to get hurt and then having one huge game in the playoffs and then they got a ring. And now you can't do that anymore because all the restrictions and just kind of annoying. Because if the Cavs want to make their team better, they should be allowed to go out and get pieces to try and make their team better. But nope. You should either have a salary cap or don't. A fake salary cap, and then we're going to tax you because you want to be good at.
Well, here's some breaking news at the MLB. Schwellenbach's probably done for the year for the Braves. Fractured his pitching elbow.
Ouch.
Yeah. He has been placed on the 15-day IL. Team has not disclosed how long he will be sidelined, but I mean, I can understand if it's in your non-throwing arm, you could probably play through it a little bit better, but he last pitched Saturday with career high 12 strikeouts in Atlanta's win over the Phillies. Schwellenbach currently 7-4 with a 3.09 ERA in 17 starts this season for Atlanta. And arguably, or who already without reigning Cy Young Award winner Chris Sale with a fractured rib, 24 all-star right-hander Ronaldo Lopez with a shoulder injury, and the hard-throwing rookie A.J. Smith-Solver with another elbow injury. Not looking good for Atlanta.
Yeah, they've been dealing with pitching injuries all year. I mean, because Strider, he
just came back.
He just
probably 2 weeks ago.
From my understanding, he hasn't had a good go of it so far.
No, not the best.
Yeah, and they just got off to a real bad start. I mean, 0-7 to start off the year, and they're not dead. They're only, 8 games below 500 and 11 games back. But, well, I think that's just the thing. No one's ever...
Nobody's out of it until...
Well, no one's ever made the playoffs after starting 0-7.
Oh.
Ever.
Damn, that sucks because, there's 160 baseball games. Shit.
Yeah, I say this all the time, and it doesn't make any sense. But the more baseball you watch, the more you're kind of like, yeah, it does make sense. There's more games than in any other sport, but somehow each individual game matters more than any one football game, any one basketball game. Somehow. It just feels like that.
It just doesn't feel like it should, but yeah. Tigers place Kerry Carpenter on IL with hamstring. They announced that today, retroactive to Monday, so he will be out until after the All-Star game.
That could be big. Great young player for them. Hope he's able to come back healthy.
I think that will do it for this week's episode of Play by Play. Remind you to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Find us on all social media platforms, and we will see you guys next week.